morning, and welcome to Around Kansas. I'm your co host, Michelle Martin. Deb is still away in North Carolina. She is staying with her sister Denise while Denise recovers from some illness. And we understand that Denise is on the mend, and we're so happy to hear that. But we also want to extend our sympathies to Deb's family. While Deb has been in North Carolina, they suffered the passing of a cousin. And we want to send Deb and Denise and their entire family our deepest sympathies and condolences. We know how hard these losses are for families, and we wish you all well at this difficult time. And we know Deb would like to be back with us really soon, and we can't wait for her to be back here with me. So until then, dear viewers, you are stuck with yours truly. So today, I thought I would reach back into the Around Kansas vault for our history segment. And I thought I'd take us way back. As a matter of fact, I was thinking about how much fun Deb and our dearly departed friend Frankie C had when they co hosted the show together. So, in a tribute to Frankie C, we're going to take a look at Frankie C and Deb sharing the history of German churches in Kansas.
And here we are again. So, Kansas has a lot of immigrants here that came from, a lot of them came from Germany, a lot of them from Russia, hence red wheat, and Ireland, yeah, especially Ireland.
Scotland. I mean, we really, we talked about the Aberdeen, Angus. The Scots bringing that. We've talked about some of those, the Irish, Celtic Fox Pub. Thank God they came. That's
yeah. Well, and because of that, we have kind of a diverse architecture.
We do.
Eclectic, I guess you would say, as well, because you might get Irish, you might get German, you might get Scandinavian.
Yeah.
I mean, Lindsborg, of course.
Yeah, Wilson with the
Wamego.
Czechs. Yeah.
So it really kind of makes it interesting. That's another reason why Kansas is so interesting, a place to visit, because you're not going to see the same thing. It's going to be an interesting trip.
It will be, the flavor of the communities, literally, the food, the entertainment, the architecture, is what they brought over. And because most of that happened in the last half of the 19th century, not that far back.
Yeah.
Especially as it relates to architecture.
Right.
Now, one of the things I found interesting, and we're going to be talking about the Volga Germans coming to Kansas. One of my friends who is Volga German talked about growing up in the different communities and how we were talking about accents. Different communities, of course, had different dialects of German, and you could tell who was from what community because of the dialect of German that they spoke. And there was a lot of prejudice between the German communities themselves, just like just the way people are, and oh, you're not as good as these people because this is the way you talk, which is the way they generally think about me when they hear my accent. You're, just a poor cracker from the South.
Yeah, well, but a lot of that of the immigrants too, it's reflected in the churches.
Absolutely.
And so that's kind of what the story is going to be
about. And that may be the prettiest reflection of those immigrants, and it's certainly one of the most enduring, and you are going to be shocked by this segment. Few events have shaped Kansas like the immigration of the Volga Germans, those war-weary Germans who had been lured to the land along the Volga River by Russia's Catherine the Great generations earlier. For 100 years, the Volga Germans farmed and prospered, exempt from military service because Catherine had so valued their agricultural skills. When this exemption was revoked by Tsar Alexander II, they looked to America. The first group of settlers left for Topeka in 1875. Upon arrival, they were encouraged by the Kansas Pacific Railroad to settle on land owned by the railroad in Ellis and northern Rush counties. Large settlements also emerged in Russell County and North Topeka. The movement of German Russians into Kansas continued until the First World War. Besides the wheat that the farmers brought with them, the Volga Germans left another indelible mark on the landscape of Kansas and on the skyline of many small towns: the churches. St. Fidelis in Victoria is the largest and most famous of the German Catholic churches and one of the 8 wonders of Kansas. In 2014, the Pope declared the church a minor basilica. It was William Jennings Bryan, visiting in 1912, who dubbed St. Fidelis the Cathedral of the Plains. But the church was the center of other German communities as well, and while not so large, they are just as beautiful as the cathedral in Victoria. The communities of Catherine, Liebenthal, Leoville, Munger, Shinshin, many towns around Hayes, are marked by the steeples of these beautiful churches. As a descendant of one of those Volga Germans remarked, these were very religious people. The church was the center of the community. Each family was required to provide so many wagonfuls of stone, which was all cut by hand. Master craftsmen were responsible for the woodwork. Stained glass windows were often imported. They resembled the churches that had been left behind, something of the homeland, something representing the hope that these new communities would truly be home for them and generations to come. They farmed, raised kids, and went to church, and in the process, transformed the plains into the breadbasket of the world. As a descendant said, they trusted in God and hard work, and the evidence of that faith remains to anchor the communities.
In 1821, a trade route was opened from Missouri in the United States across prairies and mountains to Mexico. In 2021, we will mark 200 years of epic conflicts and grand adventures, larger-than-life personalities, and sweeping landscapes. Join us on an historic journey. The Santa Fe Trail lives on.
Find us on social media or santafetrail.org. Welcome to the Western Kansas Wildlife Travel Center, right here in my hometown of Oakley, Kansas. We're the front door of Western Kansas, located on 3 main highways, I-70, US 83, and US 40. And all those roads lead to history, beautiful scenery, and adventure, no matter which direction you go. We now have an IHOP. That brand that you've trusted up and down the road in all your travels is staffed with local folks, real people, just like you and me, and we're waiting on you to join us. So for fun, adventure, fuel up, fuel your body, and let's have some fun.
Welcome back to Around Kansas. I'm Michelle Martin, your co-host, and welcome to this week's episode. I don't know about you, but these guys and gals perched behind me, turkey vultures, used to terrify me when I was a child. I think I was afraid they were going to swoop down and get in my hair, which was quite long when I was growing up. So today, we're going to reach back into the Around Kansas vault for our wildlife segment and see what Deb had to say about turkey vultures.
Howdy, I'm Seth Hayes, and welcome to my hometown, from then to now. Council Grove has a rich history, as deep as the prairie tallgrass. Spend the day visiting 25 historic sites, or explore the unique shops and restaurants, or mosey out of town along the Santa Fe Trail. You all visit my hometown, Council Grove, in the heart of the Flint Hills.
Okay, looks like it's time for our tour. Welcome to the Fort Wallace Museum. Here at the museum, you're going to find some really interesting stuff, like our replica stagecoach from the Butterfield Overland Dispatch. We've got facades from the fort buildings. We've got an 1870s flag. There's a plesiosaur that was discovered locally. We've got the Ray pump organ collection. We're a little bitty place with a great big story, and we'd love to have you.
Welcome back to Around Kansas. I'm Michelle Martin, your co-host. Today in our fun segment, I want to share with you one event and one community I think you should visit this month. First, for our event, it is none other than the Kansas Book Festival that will take place in Topeka on the campus of Washburn University on Saturday, September 18th. This is a fantastic event for families because it is free admission. And they will have over 50 live author presentations. They'll have book signings, entertainment, food vendors, and also other book-related vendors. And for those who wish to attend but are concerned, of course, with the current public health situation, the author talks are going to be live streamed. And so that makes it easy for you to attend virtually. But if you're in the Topeka area or the surrounding area and you're looking for something that is family friendly and fun, try the Kansas Book Festival. Now, in the past, Deb and I actually have been invited featured authors. When we released our book, Kansas Forts and Bases, we were asked to participate. Our book was selected. And we had a fantastic time. There was an evening event that was hosted at the governor's mansion. And we actually at the time had a chance to sit down and talk to Governor Brownback about our book, about its importance and how it could help travel and tourism in Kansas and history. We had a wonderful time. Our book talk was actually given in the state capitol. We were in, I believe, the law library. And we had a chance to talk about Kansas forts and bases, share our favorite forts that we covered in the book. But we also have the opportunity to sit in and listen to other authors talk about their work. And it ranges everywhere from fiction, nonfiction, children's books, young adult books, poetry, prose, short stories, novels. Everything that's written is there. And it is a fantastic event. So show your Kansas authors some love by attending the Kansas Book Festival in Topeka on Saturday, September 18th at Washburn University. It's free admission, and we will provide you the link to the website on our page. Now, if you visit one community this fall, and boy, isn't it great to travel and visit our small towns in Kansas during the fall and enjoy those beautiful, crisp fall afternoons and the changing leaves and the seasons. I think Lindsborg, the little Sweden of Kansas, is a beautiful little gem in McPherson County that you should visit. Now, the community was founded in 1869 by Swedish immigrants in Kansas, led by Pastor Olaf Olson. And they wanted to create a community of art and culture, learning, religion, business, and agriculture. And gosh, if you take a walk downtown Lindsborg's Main Street, everywhere you look, it is that community of culture and learning and art, and it attracts visitors the world over. Downtown Lindsborg is filled with shops and eateries and culture that reflect the Swedish heritage of the community. And I absolutely think it is one of the quaintest and most charming of our Kansas towns. The town has worked hard to preserve its rich history. And there are several amazing museums. One would be the Birger Sandzen Memorial Gallery. And the Sandzen, of course, is dedicated to the life and work of Birger Sandzen, who came to Lindsborg to teach at Bethany College. And he was a prolific artist and printmaker. And you can travel to different cities in the United States, including Kansas City, Chicago, Santa Fe, New York, and you can even go over to Stockholm in Sweden and see his work on display. And so the museum, of course, showcases his work, and every fall it hosts an artist in residence. My other favorite place to visit, along with coffee shops and eateries and cute gift shops, is the Smoky Valley Roller Mill, and it is one of my personal favorites. The mill was built in 1898 to process wheat that came in from the surrounding countryside. And folks, this mill, even though it underwent changes, including being electrified, it was in operation until 1955. And every year, the mill hosts several events throughout the year that highlight its history and importance in the community, including an old-fashioned Christmas program that'll be coming up this year. The scene behind me is actually a recreated Swedish family's home in Lindsborg, as you would have seen it at the turn of the century. And so you get a really great feel for what life was like in the community by visiting the mill. And talk about a monumental preservation effort to preserve the mill and share it with the public. Now, I will warn you, if you want to see it from its lowest level all the way to the top, you'll have to do some stair climbing. And if you have a fear of heights, I can only go up so many flights of those stairs and look down. I can't make it all the way to the top. I get a little woozy, and I'm pretty scared of heights, but it is definitely worth the climb. Everyone I know who's made it all the way up said it's worth it. And it is beautiful. They have done a fantastic job preserving that mill. Now, if you want to get outside of town, of course, you can see the countryside around Lindsborg, but 3 miles northwest of town, you can step even further back in time and visit Coronado Heights. The castle structure you see there today was built by the Works Progress Administration in the 1930s during the Depression, and that provided work for individuals who were out of work in the surrounding communities. And it was built to commemorate the expedition of Francisco Vasquez de Coronado in central Kansas in 1541. And it is a beautiful location. They have an area where you can picnic. You can get a nice walk in up there, and it's on a high point, and you can get a nice look at the valley and surrounding countryside. So my pick for an event this month is the Kansas Book Festival in Topeka on September 18th. And if you pick a community to go visit, go to McPherson County and visit Lindsborg, the little Sweden of Kansas. We look forward to seeing you next week on Around Kansas. See you again real soon.